This conversation, if it really is going to serve you, is about these things. It's about you being the creator of your experience, and you creating through your thought, and you deliberately thinking thoughts that allow you the things that you want, and you deliberately contour your thought in the direction of wanted things, which means you pay attention to your guidance system. And if you find yourself thinking a thought that doesn't feel good, you stop in the middle of that thought and you say, I could find a better feeling thought. We know you've heard this from us before, but today we are certain that as we move forward, you're going to hear it in different ways. Jerry used to tell the story that when he was sitting in front of a fireplace and the log would spit a spark at him and it would land on his beautiful sweater, he would just flick it off immediately. It was as if it had not happened. But if he didn't flick it off, that spark usually had enough fire and momentum in it to burn a hole in his sweater. So that's what we want you to think about relative to the thoughts that you think. If a thought doesn't feel good, and you don't let it go any further just by acknowledging this is an unsatisfying thought, and therefore I'm going to turn my attention from it, that's easy, isn't it? But a thought that you've thought for 20 years, or conversations that you've had for a long time, you can't just flick them away. They don't just go away. They have a life of their own. They have a belief system within you, a belief system that is contrary to your new desires sometimes that you just gave birth to. So as we move forward, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the ways to more easily come into alignment and movement and direction with your own thoughts, because this is such a simple thing to understand. You are creators who are supposed to be happily moving through your life experience. The creative process is supposed to feel fun to you. You focused yourself into this body and into an environment of so much perfect balance and contrast as to give you a constant stream of new ideas about how your life would be better. And each time one of those rockets emanates from you, your inner being shores it up with your inner being's knowledge and attention. And law of attraction focuses too, and all cooperative components are gathered. And the momentum of your desires becomes more and more in this vibrational reality. And while you can't see them because they haven't come into translation enough that you are translating them with your physical senses, you're not yet translating them with your eyes or your ears or your nose or your fingertips or your tongue. They are not that vivid yet, but they are becoming, and you can translate them with your emotions. You can feel the satisfaction of them. You can feel the enthusiasm of them. And if you don't do anything, if you don't think thoughts that bring discouragement instead of satisfaction, that bring fear instead of satisfaction, that bring doubt instead of satisfaction, if you don't let yourself go into those doubtful places, then this momentum of your new desire will gather enough momentum that it will begin to flow to you in a way that you can't miss it. But you've got to be in the receiving mode. You've got to be tuned to that receiving mode. And when you are, then the idea will occur to you, and your enthusiasm for it will grow that much more. And then another idea, and another, and another, and another. And you will stand witness to the creation, to the manifestation, to the physical becoming, to the coming together, to the thoughts turning to things of your own creations. And that's what you came with full intention to do. We've been explaining for a while, and we know you've been hearing, that all this sifting and sorting of life has caused you to create a vortexual version, a vibrational version. And most of our physical friends, even those who have been listening to us for quite a long time, they really don't accept the realness of this vibrational reality until it manifests. And so we talk to try to help you to sense the vibrational version, to feel the vibrational version. In other words, if we could get you to feel secure even before it manifests, it would manifest faster. Most want it to manifest before they feel secure, but that's going about it backwards. So if we can get you to feel secure, if we can get you to feel in love before the person shows up, the person will show up. But humans think they need a person to be in love with. And we want you to know you can be in love with an idea. You can be in love with the idea of a relationship. You can be in love with the memory of a relationship. You can be in love with that aspect of that relationship, which means holding it active in your vibration, and it has to then be realized by you. So this realization, recently, the way we are describing it to you, may be to help you understand it. But since you sometimes don't accept the vortexual version, then the grid version isn't easy to follow either, but we're going to give it to you anyway. Everything you want is vibrationally gathered, all the cooperative components in your vortex, and it is ready to reveal itself to you. And the reason that we're using the word reveal or realize is because you are going to be the interpreter of it. In the same way that that sweet bird was the interpreter of a message from Jerry to Esther, there are interpreters all around that are ready to interpret the message to you. Humans, we're not just talking about birds. We're talking about experiences. We're talking about financial forces. We're talking about ideas that flow to you. There's all kinds of manifestation that occurs once the vibration of your grid, which means your practice day-to-day vibration, is closer to the vibration of your vortex. It just has to be, you see. And you've lived pieces of that. When you finally made the decision that you were going to do something different, that decision was your grid filling in. That was you having asked and asked and asked, getting the vortex going and going and going. And at a moment of little or no resistance, that determination came to you and you knew what you were going to do. Remember how clear you felt? In fact, you're still feeling sort of clear about it because you were wanting to convince us all of that turning point here and now. So turning points, you like the word turning points? Turning points are often the grid filling in with an idea that you are now ready for. It's not that the idea isn't there. It's that you're not ready for the idea. It isn't that you're not ready for the idea because you don't want it, because you do. It's because you're not ready for the idea because you're not a vibrational match to the desire. You're a vibrational match to the absence of the desire. Feel the difference? So you ready yourself for what's in your vortex by feeling better. And you feel better by leaving out the things that don't feel good and focusing on the things that do feel good. This conversation today has been about thoughts turning to things. So life caused you to put them there. They got bigger and bigger and bigger until you received them. And once they're active in your manifested self, this is the first time that we've said that. This is important for you to hear that. So here's this vibrational reality. Well, big deal. It's a vibrational reality. Come out here where I am is a vibrational reality. Well, how are these thoughts going to turn to things? You've got to receive them. And as you receive them with your conscious mind, now it's not just your inner being that's been gathering all the cooperative components. Now you are too. And that's why ideas begin to occur to you. You all came for the manifestation. Don't be embarrassed about it. There are a lot of people who sit in chairs like you are in who want to be spiritual, not material. And we say there's nothing more spiritual than the materialization of the spirit that is you. That's what you came for. You are a creator. And so turning those thoughts to things. So you lived some things and you thought some thoughts and you launched some rockets that you're not a match to. But your inner being knew the value of what you carved out and gave undivided attention to this essence of something that you really, really want. And the essence of it became more and more and more and attracted the cooperative components. The question is, are you allowing yourself to be one of the cooperative components that's being attracted? So you meditate, you quiet your mind, you get rid of the clutter. You allow your vibration to rise. Now you're right on the wavelength of what's in there. And now you begin to receive some beginning ideas and feelings about it. And as your manifested flesh, blood, and bone mind gets hold of the vibrational, non-physical, unconditional thought, and now you've got it. Now this vibration is turned into a thing called an idea. And for most, that's usually when you say, now I have a desire. And we say, now you have a desire that you've recognized as your desire. Before, it was stuff. But it had to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you had to get ready and ready and ready. And now you received it, and now it's a desire. Is that helpful to you? And then, once that happens, that's when you want to turn up the gas. That's when you want to start talking about it and imagining it and thinking about it, making framework about it, imagining being in it, imagine driving it or living in it or being with it or having the experience of it. Let your mind fill in the details of it. That's your hands in the clay. And once you get there, this cooperative universe will answer to a minute detail what you have identified that you want. It is only beneficial for your creating to be sort of nebulous and general in the early stages. But once you're ready for it, and once you've meditated or appreciated or however you got into alignment, and once you're in alignment, and once the ideas are flowing and you've received the idea, now talk about the idea. Oh, I got this great idea. I saw myself flying airplanes, or I saw myself in the most magnificent musical band in the world, or now add the details to it that only you can add to it, you see, and let the universe say, all right then, because the momentum was already there. The life force was already there. The projection of it was already there. The direction of it was already there. The certainty of it was already there. Now you get to fill in the conditional pieces. Sometimes, as you've been moving through life, you've not only picked up desire, but you've picked up conflicting beliefs about your desire. Your life sort of teaches you how you feel about things. And since most people are mostly just responding to life, in other words, most people are just having a knee-jerk response to life, so their life teaches them a sort of habit of thought. That's what a belief is. A belief is just a thought that you continue to think. It's a habit of thought. And so sometimes those habits of thought you pick up from those who were up close to you when you were very, very young. It's a very common thing that what your parents believed is what you believed, because as they believed it, it's what the law of attraction brought to them. And since the law of attraction brought it to them, then it manifested in their experience. And so you witnessed it. And what you witnessed is what you believe, because you'd feel crazy not to believe what you're witnessing. There it is right there in full view. The data is all right there. The proof is right there in front of me, and therefore I believe it. And so it's not the easiest thing to hear that you can believe differently, and therefore you can attract differently, and therefore life can be different, because most aren't doing that. Most are just observing. So most are offering most of their vibrational frequency, and that matters so much, in response to what they are observing. And because they're offering that frequency, the law of attraction is responding to that frequency and giving them more of what that frequency is. So it's really easy to come to believe in not enough of the things you want. Not enough money, not enough love, not enough kindness, not enough clarity. It's easy to believe it because that's what you're witnessing. We want you to realize that you have more options in what you believe.